Hello everyone, I'm TG and I'm here to talk to you about the amazing and criminally underrated game Aliens Fireteam Elite. Today we're going to talk about Pathogen. I'm going to be showing you guys a build that I have been using in Pathogen on my gunner when I play Extreme and Insane. It might look a little different than a lot of gunner builds that you've seen because I'm actually not focusing on Overclock, and I'm going to explain why a little bit later on in the video. So let's dive right in, and don't forget what I'm going to be doing is showing you the perks that I'm using, but also explaining why I use them, crunching some numbers, and then show you guys the weapons that I'm using and why. Now to start things off with, the only thing I'm attaching to Overclock is Quick Load Interlink. That's going to cause your weapon to be instantly reloaded whenever you trigger Overclock, and it's going to extend the reload speed increase that you get to your entire team. That's like the bare minimum when it comes to Overclock. You have to use that if nothing else. So before I go any further, let's talk just a little bit about Overclock in Extreme and Insane. Obviously, Overclock's probably the best ability in the game. However, when it comes to those higher difficulties, I often find myself holding on to it. Like, I want to use it for the perfect moment. And for that reason alone, I decided I want to make a build that's not really focused around it, because on a 45-second cooldown, that's more than enough, believe it or not. Obviously, if you spec hard into it, you can get that cooldown down to like 22 seconds, which is like double the Overclocks. But really, like I said, it's not even that necessary, because most of the time you're just going to be burning your Overclocks on like regular runner swarms, and it's kind of a waste. Like, it's not bad, but it's kind of a waste. So what I wanted to do is kind of change it up. It's going to give you the same amount of utility. It's just kind of like a different way of doing it. And in my opinion, it's more fun because it's more interactive. That being said, let's move on to Focus Fire. So damaging an enemy causes them to take 2% more damage, stacking up to 5 times for a total of 10%. I'm also attaching Overwhelming Fire, which means when you damage an enemy with 5 stacks, they also get stunned, and that can only occur every 30 seconds. But I'm also attaching Suppressing Fire, which means that Focus Fire now slows the target by 5% each stack, bringing the total to 25% slow. Next, when it comes to stay on target, I'm using targets acquired. So when you have full stacks of stay on target, which is frankly all the time, your ability recharge speed is greatly increased. I don't have the numbers on that, but it's a significant amount because you're basically always going to have this up at max stacks. Finally, let's talk about the mini grenades. So very similar to the Demolisher, very similar to the Lancer, you're basically splitting your projectile into 3. It's dealing less damage, having a smaller AoE, but you get it more often because it replenishes over time. Now, it's not as fantastic as the precision rockets, and let's be honest, what could be? However, there is something that makes it kind of special. Actually, there's 2. First is shrapnel, so your grenades are going to cause the enemies to bleed, taking 50% of the blast as extra damage over 10 seconds, and you better believe that stacks. And of course, disorienting blast, which is the pierre de resistance, because this means your mini grenades knock down enemies whenever they are hit. So when all is said and done, you're going to get your mini grenades on about a 7 to 8 second cooldown when you factor in stay on target, and I'll show you the universals that I'm using to make that happen. So of course I'm using rapid deployment and batteries included, and that's going to give me a nice chunky 40% increase to my ability recharge speed. But on top of that, I'm also using enhanced reach 3 and 1. Now that's going to give me a 25% bonus radius to the blast wave. Of course, don't forget, if you use Enhanced Reach 3 and 1, you are getting a bigger increase to your radius than if you just used the Enhanced Reach 4. Lord knows why. Now, as you can see, it's pretty similar to my Demolisher build, where I want to keep my radius as big as I can, as close to the size of the regular grenade as possible, while getting all the benefits of the quick reload. So there it is, and it might look a little bit different to what you're used to, but when it comes to Pathogen specifically, you can have all the DPS you want with Overclock. You're not going to be bursting down some of those elites before they get close. So I find having the constant frag grenades on them, knocking them down, gives your team enough time to actually kill them before they even touch you. Now, very quickly before I go, I just want to touch on the weapons that I'm using and why, but don't forget guys, the attachments all up to you and your playstyle, as are the weapons themselves. It really does depend on what you feel comfortable with. I just want to let you guys know what I've been using and what I've had success with. First, I'm using the Kramer Automatic Assault Rifle. That's no surprise because the Kramer is pretty much beloved by the entire community when it comes to rifles. I don't actually love it that much. However, I do find it works really good for the gunner specifically because it hits so hard and it's just magical when it comes to Overclock. Overall, there's pretty much nothing bad you can say about it. It might have a little bit of a slower fire rate overall, but with Overclock, that's hardly going to matter. Next is definitely my new favorite CQW, the EDS-93 single shot Zadak plasma discharger. This thing hits like a truck. It might have a little bit of a slower fire rate, but you can actually kind of, fix that with attachments to a certain point. But where it really shines is it has long range capabilities. So very similar to the heavy HEL, you can hold down the trigger and it's going to charge the shot. Where it differs from the HEL though is this doesn't take any extra ammo. What it does is just focus your reticle and give you a long range shot. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not the pike here. You're not going to be headshotting those synths, etc. But it's got a really decent range to it, and it really does make this thing an absolute powerhouse. And of course, it's great with overclock as well. So there you have it, Marines. That's the build. Go ahead and try it out yourself. I hope it helps you out just a little bit. I've been using it on Extreme and Insane, had a lot of good success with it, and it's also a lot of fun. So don't forget, guys, stick around the channel because there's lots more builds coming, guides coming as well. And as always, thanks for watching. I'm TG. If you like what you saw, you know what to do.